Senator Blakespear.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise today in support of AB 129, but I also rise today to say that we need to do better. AB 129 is an important step in the right direction when it comes to addressing California's homelessness epidemic, which is the #1 most pressing problem for our residents statewide. I appreciate the important negotiations between legislative leadership and the governor's office to reach the terms that are memorialized in this trailer bill. The two most important highlights of AB 129 are, first, continuing the $1 billion in funding for HAP Round 5, and also the new requirement of regional or county-wide MOUs that lay out locally defined goals and clearly assign the key actions of each party to the MOU in addressing homelessness. While these two steps are critically important, there is much that remains to be done to actually and meaningfully reduce homelessness in this state. While AB 129 sets up accountability among entities that apply for HAP funding, it leaves out any state accountability. It also leaves out accountability for any city that chooses not to participate in the MOU. Critically absent is a homeless reduction goal set at the state level in statute that applies to the whole state. While there are 14 large cities in the state who will apply for HAP funding and will now be required to create a goal and work with their counties to develop regional plans, there are more than 400 other cities in this state whose participation in these plans remains optional. This is a glaring problem. Should it be optional for cities to address the humanitarian disaster unfolding on our streets in nearly every community? We need a state-level statutory framework. There is a commitment that occurs just by us writing it down. We have strong state-level statutory frameworks in place for other areas that we can look to as examples. Two areas with full statutory frameworks, clearly established roles, and ongoing funding are our disaster response system and our child welfare system. It is clear what role the federal, state, county, and city fill. In the area of climate action planning, we have very detailed goals, from overall emission reduction goals to sector-specific goals. But in the area of homelessness, we do not have this. In the area of homelessness, we do have published reports, audits, and high-level action plans. At a press conference, Governor Newsom announced a goal to reduce homelessness by 15% by 2024. Maybe that's the right number for 1 year. But whatever the goal is, shouldn't we put it into a statute? As the state's legislature, we can and should lead by having state-level goals set by us that require participation from every community. We need goals, capacity, and funding that are all tied together. As a start, Cal ICH, which is the interagency council that oversees HAP, could be directed to set minimum goals for all HAP applicants, aligned with appropriate funding, instead of letting each applicant set their own goals. We also need ongoing funding to solve this humanitarian crisis. It is unacceptable to have only intent language. Intent language is simply not adequate. It is not possible for a city, county, or nonprofit to enter into a multi-year lease for a building, to open a shelter, or to hire staff when funding is only assured for 1 year. The planning process for just 1 year is nearly the same amount of work as planning for 3 years. We should have a planning requirement and funding assurance that looks out at least 3 years. I support AB 129 today, and I'm grateful for what has happened this year. But stated simply, we need to do more. I challenge all of us to make this a priority next year. Thank you.